component represents a small portion in the web page, right? We can create a component, ng generate component name. When we create a component TypeScript class will be created, component template file will be created, component CSS file will be created, component spec.ts file also will be created. So when you create one component, several files will be created. All the components we are creating, they will be considered as child components of the app component. And we discussed about how to access the child components in the parent component. And the next one, template. Template is a HTML file which contains the presentation logic. For every component, one template file will be available. In order to send the data from component to template and a template to component, there is a concept called data binding. Data binding can be done in multiple ways: interpolation, property binding, event binding, two-way data binding. Then, next one. Interpolation means accessing the variable value directly in the template. Component class variable directly we can access in the template by using double curly braces. That is called interpolation. Property binding, nothing but attaching a property to the element like ng model. Right. Next one, event binding. Event means when user performs some operation calling a function like button click. For the button I am writing a click event, that can be called as a event binding. Two-way data binding means ng model property variable value will be binded to element value will be binded to variable. Property plus event binding combination is called as two-way data binding. Then next we discussed about directives. Directives are used to manipulate DOM elements. Next one, pipes concept is available. Pipes are used to transform the data, uppercase, lowercase, date format, time format, currency format. Such kind of data formatting can be done by using pipes. Like that. Next one, services. Service is a TypeScript class which is used to write the business logic in the Angular. Service is a TypeScript class which is used to write the business logic in the Angular. Right. To represent a class as a service, we are going to use @
తాదొచ్చాడు రమ్మన్నాడు పాస్మోన్లో ఇందడో సార్ వచ్చాడు నాన్న చెప్పారు ఇప్పుడు పొద్దున్న నువ్వు వెళ్తున్నాము
navigate from one page to another page in the Angular. For that we are going to use routing technique. Router links will be available, routes will be available, then router outlet will be available. Then next we discussed about forms development in the Angular. In the Angular we can develop the forms in two ways. One is template driven forms, another one is reactive forms. Template driven forms you are using directives. By using ng model directive, we are going to develop template driven form. If your form is very simple and less validations, then go for template driven form approach. If your forms are very big, so many fields are available, complex logic available for the form validations, then go for reactive approach. If you want to go for template driven forms, you need to import the forms module. If you want to go for reactive forms, then you need to import reactive forms module. For the forms we can do validations also. Then to apply some styles for our application, we can install the bootstrap. We can configure the bootstrap script in the angular.json file. Then today morning we discussed about Ajax, asynchronous JavaScript execution. When Ajax is having lot of benefits, without reloading the web page, we can send the request to the server. User will have a very good experience when we have the Ajax. To send the Ajax request, we are using HTTP client module in the Angular. Using HTTP client, we can send the request to the backend REST APIs, get request, post request, put request, delete request. That is called REST calls implementation. 3 applications we have developed: how to send a get request in one application, how to deal with the JSON data in one application, and how to deal with the post request in one application with the form submission. So this is what we have learnt in 2 weekends. With this knowledge, can you say that you know Angular also? Can you mention Angular in your resume with this knowledge? With this knowledge, can you mention Angular in your resume? Yes or no? You are a Java developer, guys. You all are Java developers. Now, not only Java, now you can keep Angular also in your resume. You know how to develop REST APIs by using Spring Boot. Now you know how to develop front end also by using Angular. Can you call yourself as a full stack developer now? Some practice is required for the Angular. I can understand that because within 20 hours only we have learnt these many things. Within 20 hours only we have learnt these many things. If you join a regular batch, daily 1 hour class they will take and it will go up to 30 days, 1 month, 45 days, 2 months they will take. Okay, if you go for Angular regular batch, if you go for regular batch of the Angular, it will take 45 days, daily 1 hour session they will take, it will weekly 5 days approximately. Monthly they will conduct 20 to 25 classes. It will go approximately 1 month to 45 days of time. But here within 2 weekends we are able to complete the main important topics of the Angular. The main important topics of the Angular we are able to complete within 20 hours of time. Are you feeling great? Yes, we know Angular now. Is it a great news or not? Earlier, you are just a Java developer. Today, you are Angular developer also. You can develop front end plus back end of the application. The developer who is doing the front end and back end of the application is called as full stack developer. Full stack developers are having lot of demand in the market. Full stack developers are having lot of demand in the market. You just mention in your resume you are a full stack developer. You will get a multiple calls daily. Minimum 20 to 25 interview calls you will get per day if you keep Spring Boot microservices and Angular in the resume. That much demand is there. That much demand is there. Okay. Can we do, by using all these concepts, can we build one Angular application to perform the CRUD operations? I told you, we'll implement one mini project also as part of this course. I told you that we will implement one mini project also as part of this course. Can we implement that mini project now? Can we take that mini project now? Yes? Yeah. First, let me show you my mini project. Guys, 20 JRTP people, we have implemented our first mini project, right? That mini project only.
Recording in progress.
Contact application is available. Can you see how many methods are available in my backend application? How many methods are available in my backend application? There are 4 methods available in my backend application. One is the post method / contact is the URL. Can you see the base URL of my application? This is the base URL of my app.com. My backend Spring Boot application running in the Heroku cloud platform. You can also access my backend REST API from the Heroku cloud. I have given the URL. Can you guys hit that URL? Can you go through that Swagger? Check it. Are you able to access my URL?
In progress.
Get method which is used to retrieve the contact based on the ID. Delete method which is used to delete that, but it is something like a phone book application. Second is a phone book application. In your phone you can save the contacts, right? You can save a contact, you can get a particular contact, you can delete a contact, you can get all the contacts in your mobile. So to do this contacts management, I have developed one Spring Boot application. My Spring Boot application is running in the cloud platform. Now, I want to build UI for this backend application. Backend is running in the cloud. It is developed by using Spring Boot. There is a REST controller. That REST controller having post method, get method, delete method. One get method is used to get the contact by using ID. Another get method is used to get all the contacts. If you send a ID get request, it will give you the contact. If you send a delete request with ID, it will delete the contact. If you send a post request with the contact data, it will give you contact. It is going to store the contact. To send a post request, we need the contact with these details. And if you send a get request with ID, you are going to get a single contact like this. If you want to send a delete request, you need to send the contact ID as a path parameter. When you send a get request with all contacts, it is going to give you all the contacts in the array. You see the data format. What is the data format available? Based on that, you need to create the binding classes at the client side. Guys, just go through all the methods in the documentation and see what is the input data we need to send, what is the output data we are going to get. What is the input data we need to send and what is the output data we are going to get. What is the input data we are going to send? What is the output data we are going to get? Could you please tell this? Just go through that. Based on that, we are going to develop our application. Based on that, we are going to develop the application. Understood? I have used HTDB. I have used H2DB in this backend application, guys. I have used H2 database in this backend. I have used H2 database in the backend. Okay. For this, can we build front end now? Can we build front end now? Can we build front end? Guys, you no need to worry about this front end. I have prepared a document. Okay. If you follow this document steps, then we will be able to complete the front end part of this project. If we follow this document, then we can complete this front end part of this project. Alright. So backend is a Spring Boot application which is already deployed in the cloud. That documentation we are able to see that. Okay, backend can be anything. It's not about Spring Boot or it's not about .NET or backend can be anything. So you have a backend application to access. Got it na? Good. We have a backend application to access. All right. The very first step, we need to create an Angular project. We already know that how to create an Angular project. ng new app name. Let's go to our Angular workspace. Open VS Code IDE from here. Code space dot. It's opening my VS Code IDE. VS Code IDE we are using to build our applications. Good. Yeah. Let's follow the steps which are given in this document. First step is create the Angular application. ng new contact. Just execute this command. New project is creating with a name called contact. That is a contact application. Now, when this project is creating, we need to select the routing because we need to use routing in our application. Yes, CSS. Guys, see, create a Angular application with the routing option. With routing enable. ng new contact, select yes for routing because we have to route the request to multiple components in this application. Routing should be enabled in our application. Then second step, install the Bootstrap and jQuery in the Angular application. I want to use the Bootstrap in the project and I want to use jQuery scripts also in this project. So install Bootstrap and jQuery. Once the Bootstrap and jQuery is installed, let's configure styles and scripts in the angular.json file in the project. Styles I want to configure, so I'm going to configure this styles and scripts in the angular.json file. Creating a project by using ng new app name with the enabling routing option. Then I'm going to install the Bootstrap and jQuery. Then I will configure styles and scripts in the angular.json file. Now project is created. Let's navigate inside the project. Let's navigate into the project. cd space contact. Now I am inside the contact. Install Bootstrap. npm install Bootstrap. Bootstrap will be installed. Then install jQuery also. jQuery is installed. Then configure styles and scripts in the angular.json file. Where is the contact application? Yes. Go to angular.json file. Currently the styles and scripts are empty. Styles having only styles.css. I'm going to configure styles and scripts. Here I will configure bootstrap.css and styles.css. jQuery min.js and bootstrap min.js I have configured. Next one, let's configure below styles in the global CSS file. For our application one, global CSS file is available, which is the styles.css in the src. let's add these styles in the CSS, in the styles.css. Inside the SRC we have styles.css. We just need to add these styles. Sir, what is these styles? I'm importing the bootstrap styles, and for the footer I'm giving some style. For the footer of my application should contain some style. For the footer I have written some styles here. So this is our environment setup. See the steps here. This is the backend API documentation. By using this documentation you can access the backend API. Create the Angular application with routing table. Ng new application. Select S for the routing. Installing the bootstrap. Configuring the styles in the angular.json and configuring the styles in the global styles file. Do you have any confusion up to 4 steps, guys? Do you have any confusion up to 4 steps? Project creation with routing, installing the bootstrap and jQuery, configuring the styles in the angular.json file, and adding a footer style in the global CSS file. Global CSS file is available inside SRC folder, which is styles.css. Styles.css. Are you comfortable with 4 steps? Are you comfortable with the 4 steps? Please respond. Please respond. Are you comfortable with 4 steps? Next one. We need to create a binding. Backend application will give me this data. When I send a get request with all contacts, then I will get all the records in the array format. So backend application is expecting some input for the post request. Backend application is giving some JSON as a output. To represent that input data and output data, we are going to create one binding class at the client.
Recording in progress.
TypeScript class. Why I am using export keyword here? Why I am using export keyword here? This class is available inside a file called contact.ts file. This file I want to access in the other classes also. This class I want to access in the other files. That's why I'm using export keyword. Now variables I have declared. Then next step is binding class variables. Whatever the binding class is available in the backend, whatever the data coming from the backend, JSON keys, the JSON keys should be matched with our variables. Next one, create a service class to write the business logic. Create the service class to write the business logic. How to create a service? ng generate service contact service. Binding class.
Recording in progress.
With that response, based on the structure of the API, I have created a binding class here. Then we need to create the service class to write the business logic. ng generate a service contact. I'm creating one service class with a name called contact. What service class will do in the Angular? What the service class will do in the Angular? Can you tell me? What service class will do in the Angular? Can you guys tell me? Come on. What the service class will do in the Angular? What is the duty of the service class in the Angular? Service class will contain business logic. It will use HTTP client to send the request to the REST API. It will send the HTTP request to the REST API. Now, service class we are creating. In the service class we need to, in the service class we are going to use the HTTP client. So let's inject the modules in the HTTP client. First one is forms module. Then next one, HTTP client module. Forms module, and we need to import HTTP client module also. HTTP client module. HTTP client is available in common HTTP package. I have imported forms mod. By default routing module came. I have imported the forms module and I have imported the client module. Now inside the service class we are going to inject HTTP client. Inside the service class we are going to inject HTTP client. Private HTTP HTTP client. HTTP client is injected in the service. Now observe how many methods we need to write inside the service. You see in the API how many endpoints are available in the API. Post endpoint available, get endpoint available, delete endpoint available, another get endpoint available. This post endpoint is used to save the contact. Post request is used to save the contact. It is expecting this JSON data. First one is expecting the contact information to add the contact. Second one is going to give you one contact based on the contact ID. Third one is used to delete the contact based on the contact ID. Fifth one is used to return.
Recording in progress.
The contact based on the ID. Another one is used to delete the contact. Another method is used to retrieve all the contacts. So 4 methods we need to write in the service layer. I have given the code also for that, guys. First I am taking my base URL of the application. So this is the base URL of the application. You can access the base URL from the documentation itself. ashok-it-app.heroku-app.com/. That is the base URL of our backend API. Now to send a post request, to send the get request, to get the contact, to delete the contact, we are going to write the methods here. First one is I am writing a method to save the contact. Now see here how we have implemented in the morning session. In the same way we are going to implement this. Let me make it as HTTP client variable. HTTP client. Create contact is one function that is expecting the contact object as a parameter. So whenever you call the create contact function, it is going to send a post request to this URL /contact contact object. Response type I am expecting as a text, as it is how we implemented in the today morning form submission. In the same way, this method is used to send the form data to the REST API with the HTTP post request. Is there anything which you cannot understand? Is there anything which is new? Or we have already implemented in the morning session? Or not? Taking a create
Recording in
response
progress.
it is going to give as a text format. That is fine. Next one, getting all contacts. When I send a method to retrieve all the contacts to in the table format. Morning, we sent one get request which is giving all the books. Those books we are displaying in the JSON. Similarly, get all contacts method I have written. Simply,
First
I'm going to send get request with the URL.
పాలు తాగగానే లాస్ట్ అయ్యేటట్టు.
Simply, I'm sending a get request with the URL. It is giving the JSON data. JSON data I am converting into contact array. The JSON data I am converting into contact array. This also we have implemented in the morning. Sending a button, when I click the button, I'm getting the book data in the JSON format. That JSON data we displayed in the table. Same thing here also. Get all contacts method is going to send a get request to the contacts URL, which will give the JSON data. JSON data I'm binding to contact array. JSON data I'm binding to contact array. This is used to save the record. This is used to get all the records. Are you clear? Are you clear now? We have implemented methods for these two. For first one and last one, guys. First one is a post request method. /contact is the URL. Last one is a get request method. /contacts is the URL. Post /contact to create the record. Get /contacts to retrieve all the records. For them, we have implemented two methods in the service layer. Look at these two methods. This class is representing as a service by using @injectable annotation. I have injected HTTP client into service to make a REST call. I have taken the backend REST API URL. I have taken one method called create contact, which is going to send the contact form data to the REST API in the post request. And there is another method which will get all the contacts from the REST API and bind the data to contact array. Fine. Next one, how to get a contact based on the ID. Find contact based on the ID. I will send the contact ID in the URL. Find contact is, this is a new method, guys. Find contact is one method. That method is taking ID as a parameter, and in this URL I am sending contact/ID. Whatever the ID I am taking as a method parameter, that ID I am sending in the URL as a path param. So this is used to get the contact based on the ID. To send a request to the second endpoint. I'm writing this URL/contact with ID. So find contact based on the ID. HTTP client.get of URL I'm hitting. So based on the ID I'm sending a request. So I will get one contact record. That contact record I am storing to contact object. Similarly, there is a method called delete contact. Contact/delete. For this one also we have a method remove contact. Remove contact is available. It is used to delete the contact based on this ID. Same thing. HTTP client.delete ID we are sending in the request. Get request, delete request. URLs are same. /contact/ID. But it is get request, it is a delete request.
Recording in progress.
Backend REST API. The service layer methods are going to backend REST API by using HTTP client. Anybody not able to understand these methods? Please respond in the chat so that I can proceed further. Abdul Sadiq, you have a doubt. So, Abdul Sadiq, what is your doubt?
Sir, as in find contact method, we are passing ID na. So
Yes.
why we are passing contact means contact object in get?
So,
Can't we pass
no.
ID only?
I am passing only ID. Get of contact represents with this ID, I will get the JSON record, right? That JSON record I am converting to contact object.
Okay.
It is a generic type. How you want to represent the response given by that URL? Here I am taking contact array. This contact array is a input or we are getting the output?
We are getting output.
Same thing here also.
When a return type of method, we can say no.
Yes, we can say that return type.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Understood. I thought that was a parameter, but it's a return type actually.
Yes, it is a generic type. How you want to hold the response at the service layer? So this is making a GET request to the REST API ID. So
Welcome to Geo. Recording in progress.
Yes, sir. That was the confusion. That is.
yes, sir, right. Manikanta, what is your doubt? Manikanta, Venkatesh Babu, Baba Saheb. Yeah, guys, what is your doubts?
Sir, if you are trying to get the values from the more than one table, see here, like you are getting the information. Get the.
So that is
information
completely. I understand your requirement.
How will you mention the return type? Yeah.
Hold on. Whenever you are getting multiple tables data, that front-end developer no need to bother about the data.
Welcome to Geo. Recording in progress.
For the keys available in the JSON, I will create one binding class. All JSON fields will be available in my binding class.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Right. So, all of you comfortable with this service layer methods? There are 4 methods. One method is used to send the form data using post request. One more than one record will come. When you want to retrieve a single record based on the ID, we are passing ID in the URL. That JSON data will come, single record JSON will come. That JSON we are representing in the contact object format. There is a remove contact method. It is used to send a HTTP delete request based on the ID. That particular record will be deleted from the table. Basically, it is a card operation.
Recording in progress.
Already we have one component. In the Angular application, what is the default component will be created? Manikanta, can you please respond? What is the default component that created in the Angular?
1 మే 2022 సఫలమైనది 9:38 AM
What is the default component that created in the Angular? Can anyone respond?
19
Venkatesh Babu?
రూపాయలు ల రీఛార్జ్ 29
Venkatesh Babu, what is the default component created in the Angular? App component. Can I say app component is a parent component?
Yeah.
Yes, app component is a parent component. That is the default component. Now, in my application, I want to perform CRUD operations, right? There should be one page to add the contact. There should be one page to edit the contact. There should be one page to display all the contacts. So, to perform the CRUD operations, how many components are required? One component is to display the form to add the contact. One contact is used to display all the contacts. One component is used to edit the component. So total 3 components we need to create, guys. ng generate C, create contact, contact list, contact edit. 3 components I am going to create. Create contact is one component. Contact list is one component. Contact list is one component. Contact edit is one component. Contact list is one component. Contact edit is one component. So total I have created 3 components. Create contact, contact list, contact edit. Create contact component will contain the form to enter the contact data. Contact list component will display all the contacts available in the table. Contact edit, which is used to display the contact in the editable mode. So total 3 components I have created. Already one component we got by default, which is app component. Then import the forms module. Import the forms module in the application, routing module, client module, forms module. We have already done this step. Then the next one, we need to configure routings. We have already enabled routing for our application. app.routing.module.ts file is created. Here currently routes are empty. We need to configure routes in our application. Now guys, I am configuring 3 routes and 1 redirect. I'm configuring 3 routes and 1 redirect. Contact list component, create contact component, contact edit component. I have configured routes here. When the routing path is /contacts, it has to display all the contacts available in the application. When the path is empty, in the morning session I have shown you empty path. When the path is empty, I want to call particular component. Here, when the path is empty, I want to redirect to contacts path. If the path is empty, I want to redirect to this one. Then next one, if the path is create contact, create component should execute. If the path is edit with ID, then contact edit component should execute. 3 components available, so 3 paths I have configured. For every component, I have configured 1 path by using routing. For every component, I have configured 1 routing path. See these routes. If the path is contacts, it will execute contact list component. If the path is create component, create contact component will execute. If the path is edit, contact edit component will execute. If the path is empty, still it will call the contacts component. If the path is empty, redirect to contacts component. That is the configuration. Routing. Next one, contact list component, which is used to display all the contacts available in our application. Now see guys, we have created 3 components. Every component will have a TS file and a template file. Every component will have a TS file and a template file. First I am going for contact list component. Add the below code in the contact list component. Then add the presentation logic for contact list. Then add the application in the create contact component file. Add the logic in create component contact file. Then presentation logic in the create contact component. Then logic in the edit contact component and presentation logic in the edit contact component. Okay. Now we need to configure the router outlet in the app component.html. This is the main logic in the app component.
Welcome to Geo.
Recording in
Every
progress.
component should call the service. So here, let's go one by one. Write the logic in the component class and write the logic in the template file. 3 components are available. For 3 components, we have to do that. First, contact list component. Let us take this code and understand what we have done in this. What we have done in this. From the constructor I am taking. Okay, import contact
Welcome to Geo.
Recording in progress.
Get all contacts, subscribe to data. Data I'm storing into this method. How morning we implemented the method,
చివరి
in the same way, get all contacts method is available.
రీఛార్జ్
Get all contacts dot
మే
subscribe.
రెండు
It is giving me the data.
22
The data I'm storing into
సఫలమైనది
contacts
9
variable. Data I'm storing
38
into contacts variable.
మీ చివరి
Similarly,
700
there is another method
19
available.
రూపాయలు
Delete
రీఛార్జ్
contact. This is
29
going to call remove contact with whatever the data we are getting, we are logging the data. Then it should call the another component. So that's